Okay, Jillian, I'm so excited for this episode because we are going to be going through my stool test results. And so, for everybody listening, this is my fourth gut test that I've done with GutPersonal since 2022 was the first time I did it. We recently did one. So, if you're new to the show, I'm going to have Jillian introduce herself in a second. But we did a consult like this on the show back in September when I got my third stool test done, but I was still breastfeeding. So I wasn't able to do certain things that I needed to do to fully kill off like everything that was happening. And so now that I'm done breastfeeding, I stopped breastfeeding the end of June. So it's been like about a month at the time that we're recording this. I'm like, let's go. Like literally the first thing I did was like, I'm getting a stool test again. Like I need to heal what's going on in my gut. Um, so I'm so excited. But before we dive in case someone is new here and they haven't heard you on the show before, just give a little rundown of who you are and what you do.
Yes, I'm so excited to be back and doing this. I mean, especially postpartum, like there's just no better
Oh,
time for a little glow up. Like, let's get
yes.
everything back and happy. So, this is like perfect timing. I'm so excited.
Me too.
So, hello to everybody who's not familiar with me. My name is Jillian, and I'm the lead registered dietitian at GutPersonal. And if you're not familiar with GutPersonal, we are a functional medicine practice and a personalized supplement company. So, while we do the personalized supplements, we also actually work with clients and do this deeper root cause testing and healing. And so, of course, we're going to be doing gut tests today, but we also do hormone testing and cortisol and nutrient level, and really having all these tools are at our disposal to really dive in deeper to what are some possible root causes to frustrating health symptoms, whether that be gut issues, hormone imbalances, poor energy, skin issues, weak immune system. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so I'm very excited to be going over your gut test results with you today. We really found some root causes to some of those
Oh,
issues that you've been struggling with. And I
oh
got
my
you
God.
set up with an amazing plan to go in and heal and rebalance. And you're going to be feeling so much better.
Oh, I cannot wait. And we talk about this on the show too, so we won't get too much into it. But like, this is the type of testing that is actually going to do something for you. Like, blood tests are just never going to show any of this. So, like I was saying to Jillian before we hit record, I'm also going to be doing the Dutch test, the hormone test. I'm going to do the I'm doing everything. I'm doing all the tests, the nutrients, the cortisol, like everything, because it's true. Like, especially after breastfeeding. And so, I did another episode on this too, but Bridget, who's like the founder of GutPersonal, she was like, about 3 months after you're done breastfeeding, like that's when we'll do all your hormone levels, give them time to like kind of get where they're going to be. And so I'm just doing it all. And it's like, it's so comprehensive. And like everyone's going to see with the stool test, because I know, and I'll tell the listener too, of like what I've been experiencing and what maybe people could resonate with, of why I'm like, I know I obviously have gut issues going on and I know this is the way to heal it because I've had this before. So for me, my gut has always been something that is like my Achilles heel in my health and always very sensitive. I was a C-section baby, which contributes to it. My mom breastfed me for like 3 months and then I was like on formula. So all these things contribute to it. I have PCOS. So it's like I was definitely on antibiotics growing up and stuff. And like my gut has always been very sensitive. And now, especially like postpartum, I wasn't able to kill off the Candida that I know is definitely still in there and whatever. And I'm like, I'm so bloated. It's insane. So that's like my biggest area of like annoyance. There's definitely other symptoms and I'll talk about it too. So everybody knows what's like going on. But the biggest thing I've noticed, and I know people who are postpartum most likely have experienced this too, because a lot of people postpartum end up having gut issues because you're eating when you're stressed out. You're not like sitting down having meals. You're just shoving food in your mouth sometimes, or your nervous system is off, which is going to impact your gut. Like your gut just changes. Like you could talk about that too. But the biggest thing I've been noticing is the bloating, especially like at the end of the day, like after dinner, like before the shower. I'm like, I truly sometimes look 6 months pregnant. Like it's not always that intense. It's definitely worse in my luteal phase, which is why I know there's hormone things going on with that as well. Um, but it's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild. And it's wild how different it also is in the different phases of my cycle, which is why I know there are some hormone things going on in there as well. But also, I definitely notice a little bit more brain fog sometimes. More recently, I'm noticing a little bit more like sommelier gas than usual. which like no one wants that. And so like, and like my poop isn't consistent. Like I'm never going a day without pooping. I poop every single day, always in the morning, but it's like sometimes I could tell if it's not fully all out. Like I'm like, okay, I know there could be more in there. It's more on the side of constipation than not. And so I've had gut issues so many times in the past, so I know like these things are obviously clear cut signs. I used to have rashes a lot. That I actually haven't been having. I did more so before our stool test that we did back in September. I actually haven't been experiencing that recently, which is great. But in the past, I have had rashes after the shower. And all of that. So it's not always like related to your gut. If you're having gut issues, a lot of times it comes out through your skin. But that's like what I've been experiencing. So I can't wait to see what's popping off and what we're gonna do about it. Oh, and then the other thing I want you to talk about too before we get into my results is like we were talking about off air, how this is such a great example of like I'm doing all the supplements, I'm eating all the healthy foods, like I know how to support myself, and you can't eat your way out of Candida or a parasite or H. pylori or whatever is going on. I literally don't know. We haven't even done it yet, but I know that was in the past. And like, so I kind of have an idea, but you can't do that without knowing what it is and without actually killing it off. So I'd love for you to go into that like a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I hope that this is serving as a thing of very, how am I trying to put this? Like, I hope this gives people hope that, like, if even if you feel like you're doing everything right, like if you are having the most perfect textbook nutrition and you are managing your stress and you feel like you are just doing everything right and yet you're still not feeling great, it's not because your body is broken.
Yeah.
It's just because that there are certain imbalances that can be going on the inside that you can't, like you said, eat your way out of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes we do need to go in with some of these, you know, antimicrobials, different herbs, botanicals that specifically target these unique microbes in order to get rid of them.
Yes.
So that's where, you know, I'm such a cheerleader for testing because, you know, I was like you know, I'm a dietitian, but I struggled with gut issues for over a decade. And so I was doing everything right as it came to nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was still really struggling and it can feel very defeating. So you're just like in this place of what else can I do at this point?
Yeah.
So I hope that this gives somebody who's listening, who's maybe also struggling with this, some hope of there's still so many stones left to underturn. And, you know, if you're still struggling, there's still answers that are out there. We just have to do some deeper diving and get you on the right protocol to address those imbalances. So
yes.
I love that you brought that up because I think it can become very defeating for a lot of people when you just feel like you're doing everything right and you're still struggling.
100%. And like when I did my other 2 stool tests back in 2022 was before I got pregnant. So I did, I think in January, and then I retested again in like April and then got pregnant in September. My gut was like amazing after that. Everything was like, okay. And I didn't change anything else that I was doing, like nutritionally, whatever. I didn't have to change anything. It was just like, okay, now I took these specific herbs, killed it off, and then like we were good and everything was like amazing. Yeah. But then obviously pregnancy, postpartum can kick up and create some other like issues, which is where I'm at now. So that's where we are. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah. Pregnancy can really throw some things off. I mean, bringing a child into this world, like that's a huge stress on the body and it can really throw things off, especially I see it a lot with the immune system because throughout pregnancy, you know, your immune system is really suppressed and it can big changes happen postpartum. So I'm always encouraging women postpartum to do some testing and like, hey, let's do a little reset, little reboot to make sure that you're feeling your absolute best.
Yeah. And it's so easy postpartum too, to like be disconnected from your body, especially in the beginning. I'm now 2 years postpartum, but still like actually the 2-year mark is where I'm finally like, oh, okay. Like, and especially now being done breastfeeding, I'm like, okay, I'm like ready more so now to like get back to like healing myself, supporting myself, feeling more like stable in motherhood. Where I didn't really feel, not that it didn't feel stable, but you know, when you're in that mode, it's just, there's so many things change. It's just so much going on in the first couple of years and just forever. But like, it's very easy for you when you're postpartum, for my experience anyway, to be like so disconnected from it where you don't even realize if something's off, especially newly postpartum. Like, am I bloated, or is this just baby weight, or is it like a pelvic floor issue? Because that was my issue too. I was like, I don't know, is it my pelvic floor off, which is why I'm having this like lower belly pooch, or is it the bloating? Is it both? Like, I'm not sure. And like, you could get used to feeling a certain way and not even notice it because you're so busy with taking care of the baby, with your job, with whatever else. So it's like, especially if you are postpartum, obviously it's really important for someone who's trying to conceive also, because your gut turns into your baby's gut. So like, so highly recommend if you're trying to conceive. But if you are postpartum, it's like, the things you're experiencing probably aren't normal, and like, you can feel so much better, and likely shit got messed up when you were pregnant and when you're now postpartum. So yeah, it's a good reminder. All right, unless you want to go over anything else, let's hit me with it.
Let's do it. I'm so excited.
Okay. How bad is the Candida? Because I know it's in there.
Okay, you're actually going to be really shocked about something. So
it's not.
I'll show you.
Oh my God, what? Okay,
it's really interesting. So okay, let me get this all pulled up.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I know. Okay. All right. So I heard you kind of saying biggest thing for you right now is that bloating, like just pregnant belly bloating. Mm-hmm. You're no longer pregnant. Let's get rid of all that bloating.
Yes.
And then you also said that like bowel movements have been a little bit weird. Have you been erring more so towards constipation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's always the way that I go. I never really go towards diarrhea.
Yeah. Got it. And then I'm just curious, do you ever get any upper GI symptoms? Like, do you ever struggle with heartburn, reflux, nausea, anything like that?
I don't. No, It's always the other way.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so as you know, first page here, this is where we're looking for any pathogens in the gut. So these are kind of some of those really big bad guys that a lot of people are familiar with. So things like E. coli, salmonella. And just as a reminder for you, all of these values on the right side are the normal reference ranges. Everything here in the center is your result.
Okay.
And then anytime you see this less than DL, it means less than detectable limit. So it means you don't have any of these bad guys. So this first page, I always want to rule out any of those big bad pathogens because these can be super problematic, cause a ton of inflammation, tons of gut issues. So good news is we can rule out any of these bad pathogens for you. There's no bacterial pathogens, no parasitic pathogens, no viral pathogens.
Amazing.
So that's like a woof. We're good there. Next section here is where we're looking at that H. pylori. As you know, H. pylori, it's a bacteria that lives up in the stomach. And a lot of people have heard of H. pylori. Whenever I'm working with clients and we get to this section, they're like, oh yeah, like I've heard of it before, not really sure what it is.
Yeah.
So H. pylori, it's very common. Upwards of
Mine's so high.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty high. It's pretty high. So ideally I want this to say less than DL, especially when, there's symptoms digestively going on. Because H. pylori is up in the stomach, it really disrupts digestion all downstream. Specifically, what it does is it reduces your stomach acid levels. So once that stomach acid goes down, you're going to have a lot harder time digesting foods, particularly things like proteins. You're going to have a harder time absorbing certain nutrients, things like minerals like zinc and magnesium, also things like iron, vitamin B12. So we can start to see these nutrient deficiencies at play, which I heard you say that you struggle with just like some brain fog. And
wait, with that, I am just like connecting the dot on something with like not being able to absorb certain things. How many months ago was this now? I don't even remember. A few months ago, I started getting, and I've had this in the past, like cracks on the side of my lip. And a lot of times that could be like low iron. And I'm like, I was like, okay, I didn't think I needed to take iron. I was interested. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking more of my iron, whatever. And I'm like, it finally went away. And I'm like, okay, I have to keep taking my iron, which I wasn't taking anymore after pregnancy. Because even before pregnancy, I never needed to take extra iron. My levels were always fine. But here we go.
There you go. It's an absorption.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a really big thing I see. So I'll also work with people who are struggling with things like fatigue and, feeling tired and low energy. That's like a hallmark low iron situation.
Yes,
but, I can have clients that are like, I'm supplementing with iron or I eat a ton of iron rich foods. Like how can I be low in it? But it's more so an absorption issue. If you have something like an H. pylori infection, that's reducing your absorption of it.
Wow.
So
Because I know I had it last time too in
yes.
September. Was it same or worse than what it
It's
was?
about the same. It's about
Okay.
the same. And so, yeah, back in September, we did see it on your test as well. And it's
Okay.
just kind of been hanging out in there. Good news is it hasn't increased a whole
Okay.
lot, but it's about the same levels, which honestly is to be expected since, we didn't go in and we weren't able to treat it because you were breastfeeding.
Right.
So now we can actually go in with the
Oh,
antimicrobials to address this and get rid of it once and for all, which will be so
cannot
good.
wait. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
Awesome. So this was kind of the first guy, and he contributes to a lot of that bloating, nutrient deficiencies. Also, because it reduces stomach acid, this is also when we can start to see overgrowths of other unwanted microbes in the gut. So things like Candida can start to overgrow when
Mhm.
there's not an acidic environment. Same with bacteria, which we do see in this next section for you.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So this section here is where we're looking at your commensal keystone bacteria. So this is the good bacteria. So these
Okay.
are the good guys that are making up your good, healthy microbiome. So we really want to check in on these and make sure that they're in good balance.
Mm.
So the first section I look at on this page are these two down here. Bacteroidetes and Firmicutes. So these are two families of bacteria that make up about 95% of all of the beneficial bacteria that's growing in your gut.
Wow.
So when yours are both high, which you'll see yours are both high right here, that means that there's this overgrowth of bacteria going on.
Mm.
Now, even though it's the good bacteria, it's still going to create a ton of bloating, excess gas production because you have this bacterial overgrowth that really at the root of it, it's because of that H. pylori.
Okay.
Because
I
when
was
that
just gonna
stomach
ask.
acid is low, this
Okay.
bacteria can get a little bit crazy. And
Mm.
this is a hallmark symptom of that like pregnant belly looking bloat.
Oh, got it. Check.
There you go. Yes. And especially after you eat, because,
Yes.
if you're eating these foods, especially things like fibers, so if you find
Mhm.
that like after eating a high fiber meal or a lot of vegetables, like you feel even worse, it's
Yes.
because it's feeding this bacterial overgrowth, which in turn ferments,
Wow.
creates all this gases, makes you super bloated and distended. So
Yes.
this for sure is contributing to that bloating that you're
Yeah,
experiencing.
because when I wake up in the morning, it's like not like a normal stomach.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. Like, so that's why I'm like, I know, like something's obviously wrong.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. And we'll talk about after, obviously, like what we're going to do about all this for the listener. So, like, we're going to go through everything and then we're going to talk about like what we're doing to heal it.
Yes, absolutely. And then up here in this section is just kind of where we're looking at some other keystone, just important bacteria species that we want to check in on. And if you kind of do a zoomed out view, you see all of these arrows. They're all, for the most part, dancing in the green, which is what we want. There's a couple more that are overgrowing up here, like the Enterococcus, the
Yeah.
Asteretia. So overall, there's just this bit of overgrowth going on. So
Right.
we are going to address this, rebalance this whole microbiome to get rid of that excess fermentation and bloating that you're having.
Amazing.
This section here, this is where we're looking at your opportunistic overgrowth microbes. So these are looking at the bad bacteria. So these are
Okay.
the bad guys that aren't necessarily harmful, like those up on page 1, but whenever these are given the opportunity to start overgrowing, they will, and it will cause a lot of digestive issues for you.
Mm.
You will see that there are some overgrowths going on here.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is all the ones that are overgrowing for you are bacteria that will start to overgrow when there's low stomach acid.
Oh,
So
okay. So it's all
all of
connected.
Yep, exactly. So all of these bacteria are acid sensitive and they predominantly live up in the oral cavity. So when we
Mm.
start to see them overgrowing in the gut, this is telling us that there is low stomach acid because when you're swallowing all day long, ideally you have that stomach acid to kind of zap things in the
Right.
stomach before they can travel on downstream. But if you have that H. pylori, that's reducing all of that. We'll start to
Mm.
see these guys take up real estate down later in the colon, which is what we're
Wow.
seeing here. So there are
Wow.
some bad bacteria overgrowing as well. Again, all of these guys will really contribute to a lot of those like traditional IBS symptoms, bloating, bathroom issues,
Yeah.
excess gas. So we're going to get rid of these guys as well.
Okay. Amazing.
This section here, so you'll see some numbers for these guys right here. These are known as commensal overgrowth microbes. So this word commensal means normal to the human body. So we're always going to see numbers here for these guys. We just don't want to see them overgrown, which yours are not. However, I still have my eye on this guy right here, this
A little
methanobacter.
high, right?
Yes, it's a little high. So
Okay.
I'm definitely keeping my eye on him because he's right up there at the reference range. And
Okay.
particularly this bacteria, so as the name suggests, it creates a gas called methane gases. And these methane gases slow things down in the gut. So it can really contribute to things like constipation,
Mhm.
fewer bowel movements, or maybe like you feel like you go to the bathroom every day, but they just don't feel complete. Like you're not
Mhm.
fully getting everything out.
Mhm.
likely due to this bacteria being in too high of numbers, producing
Okay.
this methane gas, slowing things down.
And would that contribute to gas too? Like
Yes,
that's
big
yeah,
time.
so that's definitely contributing to it for
For
sure.
sure. And I would particularly say the stinky gas because these
Yes.
methane, like if you think about methane gas, like it's stinky.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
it's producing all these methane gases in the gut. And so
Yeah.
you're like, oh my goodness, like this is not
Yeah.
ideal.
And it's like more recently I'm noticing that. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm wondering if it got higher since I even
it
sent
did.
it in. Yeah.
This is one that has gone up since your last test. So
Okay.
that's very likely why you're feeling like it's
And that's
increasing.
all caused from the H. pylori? Also.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So this can absolutely be coming from that H. pylori and just the overall dysbiosis in the gut.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to go in, we're going to get rid of this guy. What's actually really effective against this bacteria, particularly, is garlic.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yep, this is really great for getting rid of those methane producing bacteria. So,
Okay.
maybe start incorporating more garlic into your meals, but we're also
Perfect.
going to make this go a little bit faster by adding in some supplemental support for that as well. And that will really help reduce those methane producers.
Okay, amazing.
The section here, we look for more inflammatory, autoimmune related bacteria, nothing there. So that's amazing.
Great.
And then down here, we have some more commensal inflammatory autoimmune. So you'll see that you
Mm.
have this Escherichia that's pretty high. Whenever I see any bacteria in this section being elevated, it just means that they create more inflammation. So they're a little bit more problematic. They create more symptoms for you. So I always have my eye on those. And whenever I see them being high, we definitely want to go in and get rid of them because we just know that they're contributing to your symptoms.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. Oh my God, no Candida.
There it is. Yeah.
And I had it last time, didn't I?
Yes. And here's the thing with Candida. So, Candida, it's normal to have in the body. Like everybody has
Right.
Candida. The problem is when it starts to overgrow in the gut.
Right.
So, what can happen is if the immune system is like really suppressed, I see this many times with like high stress because
Mm.
stress really depletes the immune system. And then once that immune system isn't strong enough to keep Candida at bay, that's when we'll start to see numbers start to creep up. But if we could go in and do a lot of support to the immune system to do its job of making sure it's at bay, not feeding it its preferred food source, which is, a bunch of added sugars, and really balancing blood sugars, we can actually see the immune system going in, doing what it needs to do and reducing the levels in the gut to where it's no longer problematic.
Okay, that's amazing. And that's
Yeah,
probably why I'm not noticing those rashes anymore because that's a clear
exactly.
sign for me. Yep.
Exactly. So whenever you do kind of experience those rashes, that's a really good sign for you of like, oh, the candida is starting to get a little out of control.
Hmm.
So that's when you can kind of lean back onto the tools that we've set you up with already of like, okay, we really need to lean into, reducing my sugar, balancing my blood sugar, supporting my immune system, checking my stress, but
Yeah.
then also going back into your supplement toolbox of maybe adding in some anti-candida supplements to really reduce these yeast overgrowths.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice that you have that sign from the body of being able to recognize when that candida is too high.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So,
Love.
and you'll see in your protocol when we start going over that, I think it would be really great for you. So, number one, I did put you onto a spore based probiotics because spore based probiotics are really good for bacterial overgrowths.
Okay.
And so, they're going to go in and start removing overgrowth. Something that I see a lot is somebody who struggles with a lot of gut issues. Maybe they go to their doctor and they're just told, like, oh, just take a probiotic, like that'll fix your gut issues. So then they start taking a probiotic and they feel worse. The reason
Mm,
being is I see these bacterial overgrowths similar to what you have. I see these all the time. And what a probiotic is it's that live bacteria. So
right.
when you're now supplementing with a probiotic, it's like you're adding more bacteria into an already overgrown situation, which is why
Yes.
a lot of people will feel worse when taking a probiotic. So
Mm,
that's why testing is so important and taking a personalized probiotic because not all are created equal. And
hmm.
for you, a spore-based probiotic will be best because what these do is it's a unique type of probiotic that actually goes in and clears out overgrowth. It's not going to be adding more fuel to the fire.
Amazing. Like a Just Thrive.
Just Thrive is great. Yep.
Right.
I love the Just Thrive. Megaspore is another good one. And then we
Okay.
also have one, it used to be called the Healer Plus Probiotic. We've recently done a name change to the Gut and Skin Probiotic.
Oh, okay. Oh, and that's a spore based?
Yes, it's spore based.
Oh, okay, amazing. Because I was doing the booster for a while and then I ran out and I had extra Thrive, Just Thrive.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, so I've been taking that for
Yeah.
a couple weeks now.
And that one's good. The reason though I actually think the gut and skin would be better for you is just because you have the tendency to have the skin rashes come up. And so getting a
Yeah.
little of those extra immunoglobulins,
From the
which is
healer.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Which I did want to ask. I know you're plant-based, and the healer, of course, is not vegan.
Yeah,
Do
but
you
that's fine. I've been doing that. I've been taking the healer for a while. I'm not currently taking it, but like I will take it.
Yes.
And I recently started, which I'm wondering if this would change anything in like whatever's going on, but I started adding in eggs here and there.
Okay.
So I started about a year ago. I did a whole
Okay.
other, if you're a listener and you're like, what? I'll put the podcast episode below that I talked about it. But I was like giving it to Madison to try because she's plant based also. But I'm like, I just want to make sure she doesn't have an allergy. So I'm like, all right, let me just like give her some scrambled eggs or whatever. And then I was like, ooh, I was like craving it. I'm like, I like want it. And I was like, I don't want to feel like I can't have it.
Yeah.
So I had it, and now I'll have them like once a month, maybe not more than that. Sometimes less than that. So I'll like sprinkle that in here and there.
Love that.
But I think so for gut stuff, I don't know if that would contribute to anything.
Excellent. Excellent. No, that's actually really helpful. And you know what's interesting is we do measure your immune system on the
Mm.
SCAT test, which we'll talk about here in a second. And that's a really great marker to see if you are reacting to something, which your immune
Yes,
system
which I
is,
wanted to know. Okay.
yeah, and it's not. It's
Oh,
actually a
amazing.
little bit on the lower side, which could be more so a stress thing.
Oh yeah.
You're not having this immune reaction to
Amazing.
something that you're eating, which means I think eggs are totally fine for you to
Okay,
continue, especially if
perfect.
you're feeling good. Yeah, I love that. I think that that's great. I did put the healer back onto your protocol in
Perfect.
addition to the gut and skin probiotics. I do
Okay,
think a
great.
little for those immunoglobulins will help. And
Hmm.
it's just good for your immune system. If you are adding back in eggs, it's just going to help, calm the immune system and make sure that it all feels really good.
Perfect.
So I did put that gut and skin probiotic on there for you for rebalancing the bacteria. I
Amazing.
also think it could be good to just continue with one booster a day because
Okay.
that's beneficial yeast. And it's just going to help make sure that Candida is not going to be coming back in.
Okay.
So what that one does is since it's a good yeast, it crowds out the bad yeast like Candida. So I do think doing the gut and skin probiotic as well as just a capsule a day of the booster just for Candida prevention would be good for you since you are kind of prone to that Candida overgrowth.
Yeah. Okay. And taking at the same time is fine.
Yep, you can
Okay.
absolutely take them at the same time.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Next section here is where we look for any viruses. No viruses in the gut, so that's great. And then we measure for any parasites, no
Oh,
parasites.
amazing. Did I have one? I had
Or,
one in September, right? Or no?
I don't remember. I
Maybe.
don't think so, but
Maybe I
maybe.
didn't. I know I had one in 2022. Maybe I didn't have one. No,
I
maybe I
don't
didn't
think
have
you
one.
did.
No.
No.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, amazing. That's
Yeah.
always exciting.
So that still looks good. And that's why, I always tell people parasites are way less common than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to what TikTok and Instagram will tell you, where it's like everything
Yes.
has a parasite if you have any sort of gut issues, when we actually test for it, they pop up less often than people would think, which is why I really don't like when people do parasite cleanses
Me
before doing any sort
either.
of testing because
Yes.
you're wrecking your gut for no reason and they're really
Mm.
harsh.
Yes. I saw people ask me all the time, like, should I do a parasite cleanse? I'm like, no.
No,
No, it's
please.
a quick answer, and it's no. I don't recommend that.
All right. And then this section right here. So this is where we're looking at your intestinal health markers. So
Okay.
this is looking at different digestive organs and how well they're functioning. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the whole test because this is really looking at your digestive capabilities.
Okay.
And these are things with things like IBS, which a lot of people struggle with irritable bowel syndrome, and there's like
Mhm.
no real root cause to it. This is really where we see a lot of the root causes because IBS is really an issue with the function of your gut.
Yeah.
And so I love checking in on this section just to make sure that you're digesting, you're absorbing, and all things are looking good there. So first marker here, steatocrit, this looks for any fat in the stool. We don't want to see any fat in the stool, which we do not for you, so that's great. And this was something that did come up high on your September test, which means you were malabsorbing these fats. Really common when there's Candida on board.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
great.
Candida really disrupts your ability to digest certain nutrients, especially fat. So we'll kind of see this malabsorption, which then of course leads to more nutrient deficiencies. So I was very happy to see that that marker is looking really good for you.
Sweet.
Elastase 1. So these are looking at your digestive enzymes. So these are little enzymes that get pumped out of your pancreas every time you eat a meal and they break down your food.
Yeah.
Ideally, I want to see this number be above 500.
Mine's usually always low. Yeah.
Always low. And some people just produce lower amounts of enzymes.
Mhm.
Like there's a genetic component to that. for sure. I also see it though, where once we correct the environment of the gut, these enzymes increase no problem. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like some people just always feel better taking a digestive enzyme. Some
Yeah.
people feel better temporarily as we heal the gut, then they don't need them long term. I do definitely think continuing with a good digestive enzyme would be good for you.
Yes.
And I did see you're currently taking the digester, one of our
Yeah.
gut personal ones.
Yeah.
Well, I love that digestive enzyme. It's truly my favorite because it's so comprehensive, but there is stomach acid support in there, which you think would be good for you because we were just talking about low stomach acid. But whenever there's H. pylori on board, I actually don't love to add in stomach acid while we're treating H. pylori.
Okay.
That makes the H. pylori more difficult to treat. So I actually swapped your digestive enzyme for one called Digest Gold.
Oh, I used to take that.
Yeah, it's a common one and it's great. I love it because
Yes.
this one doesn't have any stomach acid. So I like to do this when I'm doing an H. pylori treatment.
Okay.
Once the H. pylori treatment's done, then go back to the digester because that's when we want to replete stomach acid.
Okay, perfect. That's what, when I had my test done 2022 and I had H. pylori, Bridge put me on the
Yes.
Digest Gold.
Yep.
Right. And
It's a good one to take with that. Yep.
2 capsules before each meal?
Yep. I would do 1 to 2. If you're having like, a smaller meal or like a little snack, you could just do one.
Okay.
But for sure, if you're doing like a large meal or like, those meals where you just look at it and you're like, this is going to sit heavy. I already know it. Definitely take 2.
Okay. And even before snacks, you would say for me?
Yep. I would do 1 before snacks. Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
Oh, great. Okay. All right.
Yep.
So let's do that. Okay, good. I'll order that.
Awesome. And then I would continue with, I know that you're doing the prenatal right now. You could either
Yeah.
continue with the prenatal or switch to a daily multivitamin, whatever you want to do. But I would continue with something just because
Oh,
due to
definitely.
these low enzymes, the stomach acid being low, having this reduced absorption, I do think there's probably some nutrient gaps on board. So continuing with a good prenatal or multivitamin would be good for you.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to switch. I was waiting like a couple months after breastfeeding to like do the prenatal to still have that like high amount. And then I was going to switch to the needed women's multi after that,
Perfect.
which still has a good amount of like everything in there.
Yep.
But I'm going to also, because now we're into August, I'm probably just going to wait. I'm going to keep taking it. And then I'll get the test with GutPersonal, the hormone test and the nutrient test in September. And then
Yep.
I'll switch whatever needed from there.
Perfect. I think that's a great plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, when we do the nutrient testing, we can really dial in like which nutrients you're low in and then
Yes.
choose, the right multivitamin accordingly. So that'll be good.
Perfect. Oh, so excited. Okay, amazing.
Next marker here. So this is where we're looking at beta glucuronidase. So this is looking at your liver health, your hormone health, and your gut health, kind of how these 3 are all working together. And this looks so much better than it did in your September test, which again, I think it's because that Candida is now in such a better place because Candida really clogs up your detox pathways.
Yeah.
And that's why it can just feel so inflammatory and uncomfortable when there's this big Candida overgrowth. So the detox pathways here are looking so much better. Your liver's in a better place.
Amazing.
And this is particularly looking at how well you're able to clear out excess hormones like estrogen. And so when this gets really high, I can start to see more period problems, estrogen dominant like symptoms, and not the case for you. Yours looks really good.
I have, okay, perfect. And I feel like way less inflamed. I really don't feel inflamed now at all. It wouldn't even be a symptom, I would say. Like like when we did it in September, I did. Like I felt like I could tell I was very like, and I cried. And if I look back at pictures, you could see too, like a difference.
For sure. And it was coming out on your skin.
Yes.
When I was reading through your form for this most recent one, when you were just kind of giving me some updates on how you were feeling, it really didn't have any of those like inflammatory symptoms. It was just like bloating, weird bowel movements, which is definitely more of that bacterial overgrowth.
Yes.
So,
okay.
very interesting. Occult blood. This is looking for any blood in the stool. I want to see this as low as possible, which yours is at 1. So that's perfect.
Okay, great.
Secretory IgA. So this is looking at the immune system within your gut. So 70% of our immune system lives in our gut. So it's pretty cool that we can actually measure this on the gut test.
Yeah.
This is where I was saying, if you were reacting to those eggs, we would be seeing this marker really high. We'd see it way up in the red because your immune system is, reacting to this new food or something else in the environment. Not the case for you. Yours is actually a little bit on the lower side. As you can see, this arrow is kind of pushing lower. This is definitely the biggest root cause of this is elevated stress. And so I see low immune function all of the time. And, whenever you're going through a stressful period, you always seem to get sick. because the stress hormones, cortisol, have this inverse relationship with our immune system. So over time, if we're just, always functioning in this low grade place of stress, then the immune system can really start to suffer and start to
Totally.
reduce, which then can just bleed into more digestive issues, because now you don't have the immune system to kind of keep things at bay and keep things in balance.
Right. Now, a question on the eggs and like it's not being an issue. Would I have had to have them like within days of taking the stool test, or it could have been a couple weeks before?
Couple of months.
A couple months. Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yep,
great.
like within 6 months, we would see
Oh,
the same
perfect. Okay,
reaction.
definitely
Yes.
had it within it. Okay, great. Good
Yep.
to know. And that's with any food?
Yep, with any food. So
Okay.
it's not, specific. So that is one thing
Right.
where when we do see this really elevated,
Okay.
it could be like, hey, you're reacting to some kind of, maybe food protein that you're eating. But at the end of the day, I always say it's not the food that's the root cause. So
Yes.
if your immune system is reacting to something that you're eating, it's not the food, it's an issue with your digestion and not properly breaking down and absorbing those foods.
Yes.
So it's never really an issue with the food, but it is nice to be able to check in on the immune system and just see if that at the time is creating more inflammation for you. So it is really helpful to just have that, because I know it can become
Yes.
such a slippery slope of like, am I reacting to this? Am I not? It can
Yes.
just be so overwhelming.
Okay, amazing. And is it a different marker for gluten or no? Because I don't have gluten, but I
Yep.
know not last time, the 2022,
Yep.
it was like, it was like high for that. And I'm like, I haven't had gluten in years. She's like, oh, it must be cross contamination. Like you're sensitive to it. But I'm wondering if anything came up for that now.
Yes, great question. So that's this next marker,
Okay.
anti-gliadin IgA. So
Oh,
this is looking at antibodies against gluten.
oh.
And you'll see that yours is kind of pushing up in the moderate.
Mm,
So this basically does mean that your body is reacting to something in the environment, whether that's cross-contamination, hidden sources of gluten. For people who are really sensitive, this can even be cross-reaction with foods that look very similar to gluten to the body, which are going to be
wow.
things like oats, or corn or dairy. Do
Wow.
you do a lot of oats, corn, dairy?
I do no dairy.
Okay.
Other than like I said, I have eggs once in a while, but that's not dairy. But no, I don't do any dairy. Oats I've been having a lot less because I used to have them in the morning, like over the winter and stuff when it was like
Yeah.
cold out. But now I do like smoothies mostly for breakfast because it's warmer. So
Yep.
I'm having less oats. I haven't had actual gluten in so long, other than like cross contamination, probably from like restaurants or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I have corn, maybe a couple times a month max, like
Okay.
not
Nothing too
often.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's mostly what the biggest thing I think is at play here is you're just needing more of that intestinal barrier support,
Okay.
because whenever that intestinal barrier starts to get depleted from things like high stress, if your nervous system's just been all out of whack, the immune system can become more reactive and we can start to see
Mm,
more of these antibodies showing up,
okay.
which is why I wanted to add on the healer for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So the healer, what it does is it heals up that intestinal barrier. It supports the immune system, brings down those antibodies, and it's really important during periods of high stress as well. So I love this one for you, and I think just nourishing that intestinal barrier is going to be the most important thing here.
Yeah. Okay. And still obviously sticking away from gluten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you ever taken the gluten and dairy digester, like when you go out to restaurants?
No, because I was like, well, I don't eat gluten or dairy, so why would I
Mhm.
need it? But I guess that's for the cross contamination.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So for people who are really sensitive, which I do think this would be a good one for you, I'm going to put it onto your protocol.
Okay.
Um, for people who are really sensitive, I do recommend taking the gluten and dairy digester anytime you're eating out, or like if you're at a friend's house, you don't really know what they're doing in the kitchen, because there's only so many things that are in your control. And at the end of
Right.
the day, you really don't know what those cross contamination processes are like in different
Yeah.
restaurants and how strict they abide by them. So
Right.
what the gluten and dairy digester does is it breaks down any of those gluten molecules that could have snuck its way into your food so that your immune system's not reacting to it.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Now, would I take, if let's say I'm going out to dinner, would I take that in addition to the Digest Gold or instead of?
In addition,
Okay. So one capsule of Digest Gold and how many
one.
capsules? And one capsule of the other one. Okay.
Yep, exactly. Yep, just one and one. And you only need to do this one when you're going out to eat. Like, so for
Perfect.
me, I'm super sensitive to gluten. It makes me break out. And
Mm,
so I just carry a bottle of these in my purse.
yeah.
And so anytime I'm out to eat, I'll just go ahead and take one. And, I'm not ordering anything that has gluten and dairy in it, but
Yeah.
you never know what's going on in the back, and there's no harm in doing it. So I
Totally.
go ahead and take one just to make sure that there's nothing sneaking in that my immune system is going to react to.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. That's good
Awesome.
to know.
Eosinophil activation protein. So this is looking at inflammation system wide. We want to see this nice and low, which yours is below detectable limits. So that's perfect.
Great.
And then this last marker here, calprotectin. So calprotectin is another marker for inflammation.
Mm.
This is looking at inflammation localized to the intestine, so on the inside of your colon. And you'll see that you do have some moderate amounts of this inflammation going on inside of the colon. It's
Yeah.
not surprising when you have all that bacteria overgrowing. The H. pylori is very inflammatory, that bad bacteria. So all of those will definitely cause some inflammation and irritation on the inside of the gut. And so I did add in some of that soothing support to just go in, calm down that inflammation. We're going to get rid of all the things that are creating it in the first place, and you're going to be feeling so much better.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
And that's the full gut test. Down here at the bottom, we look for any antibiotic resistant genes. I don't use any antibiotics, so we really don't need to worry about this page.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Oh my God. So good. So I'd love to go over to like, for anybody like listening or whatever for this, obviously you need to get tested to see if you have H. pylori or whatever. But even just for me, like, are there any, obviously you're going to give me like a supplement protocol, and we could talk about too, like the timeline of it for people who are listening of like, well, how long would this take to heal? What's like the process or whatever, but any, nutritional things that you think would be helpful. You mentioned the garlic for the specific, what was it? The methane one or whatever?
The methane bacteria.
Okay.
Yeah. So garlic is just a really good nutrient for a lot of different things. It's really good for Candida as well. And so it's one of those food first approaches where I'm like, there's no harm in adding and cooking with some extra garlic. It's really good for you. I will say though that garlic is also very fermentable in the gut. So if you're somebody who struggles with a lot of bacterial overgrowths, or maybe you've been told you have SIBO, garlic can be like fuel to the fire for you and not feel very great. So if you do struggle with things like garlic, or other ones would be like onions, hummus, apples, cruciferous vegetables, those are all big indications that you're having a bacterial overgrowth going on, and either getting testing to get that addressed, or doing the gut and skin probiotic that I was telling you about is so good for bacterial overgrowths. Would be a really good idea for you.
Okay. So even with my overgrowth of stuff, I'm good to have the garlic and add that in.
Yeah. And I would just go low and slow, see how your body feels with it. Just start cooking a little bit more with it, see how you feel. And yeah, just go, the dose makes the poison truly on that. So a little bit here and there and see how you feel. But we're going to be going in and clearing out all those overgrowths. So I don't foresee you having any issues with that.
Okay.
As far as things like H. pylori, one of my favorite foods for this is cranberry. So there's actually studies out there that it's drinking, what is that like really common cranberry juice? It's like lake something.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can look it up.
Lakeview or something.
It's something. It definitely starts with an L. I know. Okay. I'll get.
You're going to see the label and be like, oh, I know that one.
Yeah.
But what's funny is there was actually a study done on
Lakewood.
Lakewood.
Yes.
So there was a study done on that exact brand, actually, on their 100% cranberry juice and its ability. Yes, that's the one.
Perfect.
And its ability to inhibit the growth of H. pylori. And to be honest, it was kind of like an insane amount. I think it was like 3 to 4 cups a day of that cranberry juice to reduce H. pylori levels. But it is interesting to know that cranberry is proven to reduce the growth of H. pylori bacteria.
Wow.
So,
okay.
I'm not saying that everyone needs to go out and drink 3 to 4 cups of cranberry juice every day. It's a lot of sugars.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But incorporating some cranberry can be really, really great for things like H. pylori. So maybe, adding in some 100% pure cranberry juice to your evening miracle worker mocktail, or adding in a handful of frozen cranberries into your smoothie.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. And obviously no added sugar for everybody listening.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
So cranberry is really good. Green tea is also really great for H. pylori inhibition. So green tea, matcha tea, all that's really, really great.
Okay.
A lot of just really good antioxidants is the best for H. pylori. So kind of taking that food first approach. I will say though that when it comes to H. pylori, doing the antimicrobials is really going to be the thing that moves the needle.
Totally.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's really hard to eat your way out of an H. pylori infection. So getting testing done if you do suspect that you might have some of this going on, if you have more of those upper GI symptoms or a lot of bloating, getting some testing done to make sure that it is in fact that H. pylori, and getting on a treatment plan will be the best.
Yeah. And the upper GI symptoms you're talking about, like, which I don't experience, but I know I've had a lot of clients that have like the acid reflux, heartburn, things like that.
Yep. Acid reflux,
burping.
heartburn, bloating, especially the upper belly bloat. I was actually just with a client who was like, oh, I have this like upper belly bloating, like, and it feels like it's like up in my rib cage. It's like uncomfortable to wear a bra. And sure enough, she had
Mm.
really high levels of H. pylori.
Wow. I definitely, now I'm thinking about it, I definitely could burp easily. Like,
Yes.
especially after I take supplements or if I just drink, like, have big sips of water, I'll
The
like burp.
belching is huge for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what that is. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, but I don't have the heartburn or anything like that,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Good.
Okay. Sweet. And then like, about how long would you say, like, will I be on the supplements? Like, will you think it's like cleared out? All of that.
Yep. So in general, it's going to be about a 3-month protocol. That's
Okay.
kind of like the sweet spot for all the clients that I work with. For you specifically, I really want to hit that H. pylori because I know that you've just had it so many times. So
Yeah.
it's a stubborn little bugger for you.
Yes.
So I'm going to have you be on that treatment plan for a good 8 weeks
Oh,
to
perfect.
make sure we're clearing that one out. So that'll be about 2 months, but then staying on your probiotics. And I'm, of course, going to have you continue with the miracle worker
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
magnesium,
All of
those
that.
digestive enzymes
Omega.
for an additional month. So all in all, it'll be about a 3-month plan.
Okay. And then at the end of that, do you recommend people get retested? Do you recommend just saying, like, okay, if all my symptoms are gone, do I just go back to then like a standard protocol? Like, what do you normally recommend for people?
Yes. So in a perfect world, I always encourage a retest just
Mhm.
because we want to make sure that we're getting rid of the things that are going on in the gut.
Yes.
And especially things like H. pylori, the Candida. I'm glad we did a retest because we want to make sure that these things are gone because they
Mhm.
absolutely contribute to a lot of digestive issues and inflammation, and they can kind of snowball into more things down the road. So when there's a lot going on in the gut, I really encourage a retest in about 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Um, However, though, I will say that a lot of my clients, after they go through their protocol, they're like, Jillian, I feel amazing. Like I don't feel bloated anymore. I'm going to the bathroom every day. My energy is
Yes.
improved. I'm sleeping better. And so for those people, I'm like, girl, go rock with it. You
Yeah.
don't need to do retests if you don't feel like you need it. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I always just say, hey, let's touch base once you're done with your protocol. I can help you assess whether you need a retest or not and set you up with more of an ongoing maintenance plan.
Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, for anyone listening, because I know a lot of my clients and stuff have gotten gut tests through you. So it's like, see how you're going to know, you will 100% feel a difference. Like, it's impossible for you to get this stool test done, get this protocol and not see and feel a difference.
Yep,
But that's good to know that they could like, just like, reach out and be, okay, here's where I'm at. Do I need to retest, or what could be my new maintenance plan?
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. And I always like to schedule a check-in for about 3 months.
Okay.
Wrap
Perfect.
up your protocol. Let's check in, see how you're feeling, and go from there.
Okay. Awesome. Um, And then it's going to be cool to see too, because next month I'll do the hormone and nutrients, and we'll see like what else is popping off over there.
Yep. Oh, I'm so
Okay.
excited for
Oh,
that
I
one.
know. I can't wait. And I've never done the Dutch test.
Oh, you
Um,
haven't?
no, I've never done it.
Incredible. It
I
is
can't.
so much
I've had clients
information.
do it, and then when I see it, I'm like, holy shit! Like, it's so good.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I'm very, very excited for that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. And you also do, for people listening, thyroid panel as well, full
Yes.
thyroid panel.
Full thyroid panels, which that's a really important one, especially
Yes.
for those who, number one, are having a hard time conceiving thyroid, really, really important for that.
Hmm.
But also with gut issues. So I see a lot of people who feel like who have had gut issues for a really long time, and maybe they're having a hard time clearing these infections
Mm.
and their gut's just having a hard time healing. We'll run a thyroid panel and we'll see that their thyroid is really suboptimal. And your thyroid is literally powering everything in the body. So we
Yes.
support the thyroid and all of a sudden the gut heals. So yes,
Wow.
the full thyroid panels. Again, it's very different than getting your thyroid checked with your doctor where they're just checking like 1 or 2 thyroid markers. Like
I was
I
just gonna say, can you list off everything that it checks? Like, because a lot of people, whether clients just reaching out, they're like, well, I got my TSH checked and like it's fine. And I'm like, a THS, and I'm like,
yeah.
that's like, doesn't tell you literally anything. And also it's actually way high and like it should be
Yes.
flagged as a problem. But so what do you test for in the thyroid panel?
Yeah. So TSH, that's the most common one. That's what, if you go to your doctor and ask them to check your thyroid, they're going to
What
look
we're
at a
gonna test.
TSH.
Yep.
TSH is actually a hormone that's coming from your pituitary gland in the
Mm,
brain. So it's like a brain hormone and it's
mm,
talking down to your thyroid, telling it to create its hormones. So
mm.
it's not even a thyroid hormone in and of itself. So it's bonkers to me that like That's what they're looking for to check your thyroid.
Yeah.
So with the full thyroid panel that I'm running, I'm looking at that TSH. I'm looking at T4, which is one of the thyroid hormones. I'm looking at free T4. I'm looking at total T3, free T3. T3 is your active thyroid hormone.
Yeah.
So this is a really important one to look at, and doctors are not running this one. This is the hormone that's doing all the things in the body that your thyroid hormone's in charge of.
Yes.
So that one's really important to look at. So we're looking at the total T3 and free T3. I like to look at reverse T3. I like to look at T3 uptake, and then I like to look at the thyroid antibodies to ensure that there's no autoimmune activity going on.
Yeah. Which is like so much more comprehensive than, and also you're going to be looking at optimal numbers, because some people have like a TSH of like 3 or 4, and they're like, what would you like to see the TSH at anyway?
Ideally, I like to see it be between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can let it get up to like 1 to 3 if there's not a lot of symptoms on board. But I mean, the reference range is like 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, and it's crazy.
That's what I'm like. If it's at a 4, or even like if I see like a 3, I'm like, you might have something else going on. Like it's not normal. You like need to look at other stuff, but that reference range is ridiculous. And again, it's not looking at any of the other stuff. And so many people, especially if you have PCOS, a lot of times there's like hypothyroidism that could be connected to it. So that's great that you guys run that as well. But they can't get that alone, right? You have to get that with the hormone test for you.
So you can get it as an add-on to either the hormone test or the gut test.
Okay, cool. But not by itself.
Right.
Okay, perfect. All right. So you could add it on. And same with the nutrient test, you could add that on to other stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So you can add that one on as like an add-on to the hormone test or the gut test.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And you also do like 15-minute like consult calls or whatever to like see if, what tests would be good, or what could be some supplements that it could help you with.
Exactly. Yep. So I do offer complimentary supplement protocol calls. So if anybody's just like, hey, like I really want to do the testing, it's just like not in budget right now, or I just can't do it, but I'd love to start somewhere. Personalized supplements can make all the difference. Yes. And I many times see like we could heal so many things for you that you don't even necessarily need the testing. And so 100%. We do offer these calls totally for free, where you and I can hop on a call. I can hear what's going on for you, and I can recommend to you a supplement protocol of like, hey, let's start here and see how you feel. So those are totally free of charge. They're on our website. And if somebody does want to chat more about testing and, make sure it's the right fit for them, or if they should start with gut, or if they should start with hormone, I also offer complimentary strategy calls where we can just sit down, chat through what you're going through, and I can kind of put you in the right direction.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So I'll put all that in the show notes. And with the gut versus hormone test, I did a podcast episode on this recently, but it's like, if you're having, and let me know if you agree, if you were having any type of gut issue, I would say gut test before hormone test, because it's going to help heal any hormone issues you might be having. Because if you're having gut issues, you're likely going to be having some type of hormones that are off.
Yes, 100%. At the root of hormone issues is gut issues, because your gut's regulating all of that.
Right.
So if you're struggling with gut issues, if you're struggling with hormone issues, start with the gut 100%.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'll put all that in the show notes, and obviously you can, I talk about GutPersonal all the time, but for their supplements, for their, any of these testing, you could always use code Corinne for a discount. There's specific, I think we'll put in the show notes exactly how much it is off of each testing, but it comes not only with the actual test, but also with like a consult that I just had here. So like you'll get a 60-minute consult with Jillian, go over everything. And then she's going to give you the actual supplement protocol, any nutritional changes you need to make. It's so funny. My clients, whenever they go to you, they're like, Jillian was like, oh, great. Your nutrition is like all good. Like you're working with Corinne, like this, like one of my easiest clients. Perfect.
Every time I get your clients, the nutrition is just spot on. I'm like, I love it.
Like, this makes my job so much easier. But anyway, so you get a full, so that's what's also so helpful is like a lot of times too, you'll go get a blood test, are totally pointless. But anyway, you'll go get tested with your doctor, and then like, you just get the results and you have no idea what it means, what to do about it. Like it's so frustrating. And so this is healing really the root of it. And I'm so excited. I'll definitely do a follow-up episode either with you or just in general of like how I feel after I start healing all of this. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being on here, for doing this. If there's anything else you want to add, obviously throw it in there, but I'm just so happy to do this again and to have your support through the whole thing.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I love doing these, and I cannot wait to hear how you're doing once you get started on your new protocol.
I know, I'm so excited. Okay, thank you again, and I will see you all on the next episode. Bye, Jillian.
Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.